Merry Meet! Thank you so much for joining me today. We are working a psalm spell today, and today we are working on Psalm number 98, and this is used for several purposes. It's used to bring about peace between groups of people, and it's used to bring joy, to bring happiness, and to bring general peace. So today we're going to be working on that to bring joy and happiness, general joy and happiness. All right, so the way we work these psalm spells is very simple and very, very powerful. We take the psalm in question and we read it out loud all the way through once without stopping. And we call this an incantation. And then we go back through the psalm. The second phase of this is going back through the psalm, and we take it verse by verse, and we really dig into those words, and we find and search for hidden meanings within those words. And those secret thought forms are like seeds that we are searching for. They're packets of seeds that we plant deep within the fertile ground of our minds. And they take root, and they grow, and they bear fruit after their kind. One way that you can think about this, if you look at the book of Psalms as a spell book, so we would say this is the spell book of God, many people would say. So the spell book of God casts God's spells. And if you cast God's spells in your life, then you never have to worry about it, because God's spells always work. God's spells always know exactly where to go, what to do, and how to fix what's wrong, and they always work. And you don't have to worry about a thing as far as your magic goes when you're working these psalms, because the magic is already in there, ready to go. So your whatever your needs are, they can be met by finding the seeds and planting them. Now, if you look within these psalms, you'll see that there's an infinite amount of seeds, infinite amounts of seeds that can be planted, and they're just sitting there in potential waiting for us to utilize them. All right, and so that's what we're going to do today. So here we go with Psalm number 98. O sing unto the Lord a new song, for he hath done marvelous things. His right hand and his holy arm hath gotten him the victory. The Lord hath made known his salvation. His righteousness hath he opened, showed in the sight of the heathen. He hath remembered his mercy and his truth toward the house of Israel. All the ends of the earth have seen the salvation of our God. Make a joyful noise unto the Lord. All the earth make a loud noise, and rejoice, and sing praise. Sing unto the Lord with the harp and the voice of a psalm. With trumpets and sound of cornet, make a joyful noise before the Lord, the King. Let the sea roar and the fullness thereof, the world and they that dwell within. Let the floods clap their hands, let the hills be joyful together before the Lord, for he cometh to judge the earth. With righteousness shall he judge the world, and the people with equity. All right, so now let's just move through this psalm and do the magic. This is where we do the planting of the seeds. So it starts out with, O sing unto the Lord a new song. So we are not directly addressing the Lord of the Psalms here. We are actually speaking generally to the congregation. And the congregation for us is the congregation of thought forms, the multitude of thought forms within us. So we are telling ourselves to sing unto the Lord a new song. Now, what's a new song? Something other than the song you've been singing. So, that same old tired song that you've been singing that's been creating those problems again and again and again, that's keeping you from your peace, that's keeping you from your joy, that's keeping you from your happiness. We're going to sing a new song. And this song we're going to sing unto the Lord. Okay, we're going to sing it unto the Lord. And the Lord, who's the Lord? The Lord is not a deity. The Lord is not the ancient tribal deity called Yahweh. It's not any God the Father. It's not any goddess the Mother. It is pure life principle. And there's only one. There is only oneness. There's nothing to thwart it. There's nothing to oppose it. One with God truly is a majority. So if God is for you, nothing can be against you, because God is all. There is one power, there's one force, there's one source, there's one substance in all the universe. It is infinite life, it is infinite spirit, it is that which cannot be destroyed. There's nothing that can attack it. It cannot be threatened in any way. So it's important to recognize this, that this oneness is very much more like the Force of Star Wars than it is some God up in the sky. It is definitely not a God up in the sky. Okay, so it's important to understand. We're singing unto the Lord a new song. So we're making our minds up that we want something better. We want something different. So we're going to sing a new song, and we're going to sing it to this force. For he hath done marvelous things. So this force only does marvelous things. This force is not responsible for problems. This force is not responsible for the lack of peace. This force is not responsible for any lack, because this force knows no lack. This force only does marvelous things. In his right hand and his holy arm hath gotten him the victory. So the right hand in these old Psalms represents the fighting hand. So everything was a warring people back in the day. The war was everything. So everything was through that understanding. So the right hand, his holy arm, hath gotten him the victory. So the victory is the victory over the darkness. But see, God doesn't fight against darkness. That's just it's a poetic symbol. God doesn't need to fight anything, because there's nothing to oppose God. To fight would be that would suggest that there would be a struggle, that there would be some sort of threat, that there might not be victory. There is only victory because there is only light. Light and darkness don't oppose one another. They just appear to, but there is no opposing force to light. Darkness is a shadowing of the light, but that does not affect the light. However, light being allowed to shine on the shadow or on the darkness destroys the darkness. Darkness does not destroy light, because there is no darkness. Darkness is only an effect of the shadow of light. So when we are having darkness in our lives, it's important to understand that we are choosing shadow. We are choosing to hide for some reason, or block for some reason the light. So the Lord hath made known his salvation. So what is the salvation of the Lord? Well, it's not a religious symbol. That's not a religious term. The salvation of the Lord means that the force that we are talking about, that is the source of all life, has only light, has only good. It is only good. There's nothing to oppose it, right? So to be saved, the salvation of the Lord means that you allow the light to do its work. You allow the light to do its work. That's how you are saved from the darkness. That's how you're saved from the darkness. But the truth is, there was nothing to be saved from. It just seems that way when you are stuck in the nightmare of the darkness, because you're stuck in the contemplating of the darkness. The more you contemplate darkness, the more you contemplate your problems, the more you contemplate the lack of peace, the more you contemplate the lack of joy, the more you are making real the illusion of darkness, which can't exist. It can't exist. But because we were created powerful, we were created to be just like God. We are gods. We are able and capable, and we have the freedom to experience anything that we decide that we want to experience. Now, a lot of times we don't think we want to experience the darkness. And it's true, we may not want to experience the darkness, but for some reason we're attracted to it. For some reason we're habituated to it. For some reason we feel like we are victims of the darkness, and we don't know that we have the power to go beyond it. And so that's when the Lord hath made known his salvation. The Lord hath made known that you don't need to be victimized. You are saved. His righteousness, his righteousness hath he openly showed in the sight of the heathen. So the heathen we are not talking about people who religiously identify as heathen. They are welcome to the Psalms. They are part of the craft. They are part of, that's not who we're talking about. The heathen in the Psalms are specifically, when we're dealing with them magically especially, they are speaking of errant thought forms within us that are confused and that don't know the truth and that run around and create problems. So he openly shows his righteousness to the heathen. We want that. We want righteousness shown to the heathen, because then either the heathen fall in line with the righteousness, or if they are truly thought forms which are complete illusions, they're shined away and they disappear. So they're either misdirected thought forms, or they're thought forms which don't really exist, but we think they do. Either way, when the Lord openly shows his righteousness to the heathen, to those thought forms, then those thought forms either come in line and work on our behalf, or they disappear altogether. He hath remembered his mercy and his truth toward the house of Israel. Okay, so God remembering his mercy. God never forgot mercy. So mercy in here, we are, on one hand, we are speaking of sphere number 4 on the Kabbalistic tree of life, the sphere of mercy, as well as we are talking about that entire pillar of mercy. But we're also talking about the fact that when God remembers his mercy, that just means that we are experiencing the effects of the mercy, which is constant, which never ends. It's not like God forgot his mercy and then remembered it. It's a poetic device. When God remembers his mercy, that's when we remember that God is where the mercy is. It's not something we can grant ourselves. You can't grant yourself mercy because you're in the dream. So asking the dream to wake the dream up, it doesn't make any sense. We ask God for mercy, and that means that God gently wakes us up out of the dream. Okay? So, where is this? Oh, he hath remembered his mercy and his truth toward the house of Israel. Okay, so the truth of God sets you free. The truth of God sets you free. Anytime there is lack of peace, anytime there's lack of joy, it means that we are believing an untruth, a lie. We are believing an illusion. The house of Israel is who you are. The house of Israel is the entirety of who you are. So you are Israel. Your higher self is Israel. It's a threefold name. Is for Isis, Ra for the god Ra, and El for divine. You are masculine, feminine, and divine, all in one. And you have functions of those genders and functions of that divine already built into who you are. That's how you were created. You didn't do that yourself. You were created as Israel, in what they're calling that in these Psalms. Okay, so, but when God remembers his truth toward the house of Israel, that means that when we call upon truth, divine truth, the entire house of Israel, that means that not only our higher self, but all the mission of our higher self, why our soul came here, what we are here to do, what we are here to accomplish, what our highest purpose is, all that comes along with our soul's journey is included in the house of Israel. That truth sets us free, so that we can become and behave as though we were here as we were sent here to become and behave. We were sent here to do very important, marvelous, miraculous things, and then we forgot why we were here because we fell asleep. Okay? So all the ends of the earth have seen the salvation of God. Now, this is a very common magical device in many different systems, and it's used again and again in the book of Psalms, is putting what we want in the past tense, as if it's already happened. So all the ends of the earth have seen the salvation of our God. So all the ends of the earth are every single manifestation in your life, physical manifestation in your life, all aspects of it. Your job, your career, your health, your body, your parents, your children, your spouse, your friends, your everything. Okay? That's the ends of the earth. And all the ends of the earth have seen the salvation of our God. So it's already happened. You don't have to do anything to make this happen, except for make a joyful noise unto the Lord. All the earth, make a loud noise and rejoice and sing praise. Now, what's a noise? A noise is a disturbance. It's a distraction. It's a wake it up. When something is loud and joyful and loud and joyful, you want that joy to be loud, symbolically especially. You want it to be loud. You want to wake yourself up out of your misery with the call of joy. Make a joyful noise unto the Lord. All the earth, make a loud noise and rejoice and sing praise. There's your formula. Rejoice and sing praise loudly. Now, we don't necessarily mean loudly in the physical sense of the world that you're going to scream. We mean loudly, meaning that it's all we hear. It's drowning out all of the nonsense in our minds. There's these constant tapes that are running, telling us how bad everything is, everything keeping us from our joy, everything keeping us from our happiness, right? So we're going to sing unto the Lord with the harp and the voice of a psalm. Now the harp is something where you play it with your hands. The harp is considered a celestial instrument. It's considered an instrument of praise, and it's considered, and you go back to any culture, especially in these parts of the world, and also in Europe, the Druids and the bards, the harp is always the instrument through which we find that mystical union. So when you sing unto the Lord with the harp and the voice of a psalm. Now, we're not saying just singing from this book is what we're talking about. We're talking about the psalm as a symbol, actually, here of turning, using the psalm rather than our own thoughts, asking for God's thoughts to replace our own thoughts. And we do that, and we're doing that with our voice and with the harp. We're doing that very, very specifically. We are making it into a mystical experience for ourselves. We're very purposeful. It's not accidental. We are on purpose doing this. And then not only are we doing it with the harp and with our voice, but with trumpets and the sound of cornet, make a joyful noise before the Lord, the King. Now, the loud noise with the trumpets and the cornet, those are blaring out instruments. They are instruments that are going to completely drown out any negativity, completely drown out any possibility that our minds are going to be focused on anything other than this joy. Joyful noise, joy, 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 joy. Let the sea roar in the fullness thereof, the world and they that dwell therein. Now, why would we want the sea and the world to roar? Because we want all of the manifestations that we've been putting up with all this time, that have been taking our joy from us, that we've just said, well, that's our lot in life and there's nothing that we can do about it. We want them to roar. We want to see that they are being completely unmanifest. We want to see all of that breaking up right in front of our eyes. Right? So we want to let the sea roar in the fullness thereof, and the world and they that dwell within, meaning all of our manifest experiences and every part of it. We want to see the results of this spell. Let the floods clap their hands. Let the hills be joyful together. Okay, so the floods clapping their hands, that's all the things that have been plaguing you, all of the problems that you've been having, all of those things that torment you, all of those things that threaten to drown you and to destroy your life and to destroy your home and to destroy your relationships, all of those things that are going to destroy your joy and destroy your happiness. What are they doing? They're clapping their hands now. They're becoming instruments of joy. They're turning into, even your problems are turning around and turning into something amazing. Let the hills be joyful together. So even the little hills, even the small problems, and even the things that weren't problems, even the pretty hills, every single thing around you is going to be joyful together. The problems, the not problems, everything is now becoming equalized in our sight, because the only thing that exists is joy. And that is what happens, is when that joy of God comes into any situation, it completely transforms it, sort of like bombarding something with sound therapy, and those vibrations throw off anything that is dross, so that it all comes into alignment with that vibration of joy. Before the Lord, for he cometh to judge the earth. Well, we know we want God to judge the earth, right? The Lord judging the earth simply means that infinite intelligence judging your circumstances. It's going to say yes, no, keep it, toss it, keep it, toss it. We want God's judgment. We want God to show us everything that's going to bring us joy, and everything that's not going to bring us joy, we want God to gently remove it from our lives. Just to take it away. We don't want to keep anything, do we? Do you want to keep anything that's not going to bring you joy? Do you want to keep things that are not part of infinite intelligence's plan for you? Do you want to keep the things that are going to constantly bring you problems and poverty and sickness and all of those things? Would you like to keep those thought forms? Of course you would not like to keep those thought forms. So we want God to judge. So we want this force of life itself to come and judge and take everything that's not joyous and leave everything that is, and to increase that joy exponentially. For he cometh to judge the earth. With righteousness shall he judge the world and the people with equity. So the people in this case means not necessarily the people in your life, but the people meaning all parts of yourself that you are that you are in relationship with. All those parts of your own inner mind that are creating for you on your behalf. Every part of your mind is creative. So it's part of you is creating problems, part of you is creating happiness, part of you is creating issues, part of you is creating eating disorders, part of you is creating health, part of you is creating, it's just chaos when it's all by ourselves, right? But with righteousness shall he judge the world and the people with equity. That means he's the equally. He is not really the right thing to say. It is better. But God, that infinite intelligence, that force is the equalizing factor that comes in and just makes all the crooked places straight, that brings everything right in alignment, just right where it's supposed to be. Just like when you pull a magnet through some sand, all those iron shavings just fall into a perfect pattern, not because of anything other than the fact that they can't resist that magnetic pull. And the same is true now. All things that bring us joy are now coming unto us, and anything that does not bring us joy is now released from us. And that's just the way it is. And for this, we are very, very grateful. And this is how you work a psalm. So you just take that psalm, and if you're not feeling joyful after you do this, do it again maybe later today or tomorrow, and you keep at it until you start seeing things moving in the direction that you want them to move into. Okay, so this is a reconditioning of your deep mind, a planting of seeds, and you want those seeds to be planted firmly so that they take root and grow and really bear fruit. And this time we are bearing fruit of joy and happiness. Thank you very much for being with me today. I can't wait to work with you again. And until next time, blessed be.